everyone, hope you had a good weekend. Welcome back to the channel. Something pretty interesting to share today. So if you're on Twitter, you have probably noticed that there have been two hashtags that have been gaining traction over the past 24 to 48 hours or so. And one of them is sell Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix, or sell ZSJL to Netflix. And the other one is sell Snyderverse to Netflix. So obviously this is, coming from a place of fans wanting to see the Snyderverse continued in some way, shape, or form. And since over at, Warner Brothers Discovery, they are going to be kind of rebooting the DC live action universe as we know it right now. But then they're kind of saying, maybe some people will stick around, maybe some won't. Seems like to me it's going to be mostly a reboot or a reset for the most part. So with that in mind, especially because of the situation that happened with Henry Cavill and how he was supposed to get another Superman movie and that's not going to happen now, people are kind of thinking like, well, if they don't want to continue that universe or that path for DC, why not sell it to Netflix? So you might be thinking, well, why Netflix? Not just because it's like the biggest streaming service in the world, but before the Snyder Cut actually came out, there was a time when Netflix was interested in buying it or getting it licensed to them so that they could complete the movie and release it. Obviously, that didn't happen. And I'm not surprised because, especially under the previous leadership, they had way too much ego and pride to do anything like that. And to me, that kind of said like, okay, if Netflix is showing interest, then the biggest streaming service in the world, and it's not just, streaming B-list movies anymore. Netflix has really, grown and expanded to theatrical level movies and great original series and original content. If Netflix is showing interest, then that means it is very valuable. That's just how I looked at it when we found out that Netflix was interested in it. I feel like that probably told the studio, if Netflix wants this, then that means it's valuable. And that means that it's gonna, there is a huge audience that wants this. And that Netflix is paying attention. Like they were paying attention to what DC fans, this large portion of DC fans, were asking for. And that's another thing. It showed them that this is not just a small group of people, that are talking about this on the internet. This is a global thing that other streaming services, other studio, I guess you could call them a studio, sort of, they're also paying attention. So that, I feel like, really told them like, okay, this is big and we're not going to let it go. Even at that time, if they were thinking, we're not going to release it ourselves because it makes us look really bad, but we're not going to let it go either, because if we do license it out or sell it to Netflix or some other platform and people love it and it becomes a huge hit, then it's going to look like they were even more dumb than they were and lost something that had potential to be huge. So either way, I felt like it showed them the value of what Zack Snyder's Justice League, the value of that, and that they were not willing to let another service or studio have that. And then, have Netflix be the ones getting the praise for releasing it. So, that's kind of where this is coming from, because, it became known after a while that Netflix was interested in doing that. And now that they have an established, good, positive, healthy relationship with Zack Snyder, Deborah Snyder, working with their production company, Stone Quarry, building out these original IPs of theirs, of course fans are going to be like, please do some kind of licensing deal so that they can do this. Like, that would be absolutely amazing. People have been making, fan-made Netflix landing pages or graphics to show. I put this out there like, what if this ever were to happen? What would you think of this? Or would you want this to happen? Absolutely. Like, especially like I said, knowing the relationship that Netflix has now with Zach and Deborah and their team of people and their production company, knowing that they have given them like creative freedom, and knowing that they want them to just do what they do best, create awesome things, bring us cool stories, great movies, expansive, universes, things that can be expanded on, and have more than one movie like Rebel Moon and, the Army of the Dead universe. Obviously, they're very happy with working at Netflix, and it would just be amazing if something like that happened. Clearly, there would be a lot of details that would have to be worked out, and it wouldn't just be like, oh, here, now you have this property and you can do whatever you want with it. Obviously, no, since Netflix wouldn't own DC, if it was a licensing thing, they're just like, okay, we license this specific portion of the property, within Zach's realm that he did. I guess you could call it his trilogy: Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Do what you want within that world. These are the characters you can use. It would probably, I don't think this is going to happen, but just hypothetically speaking, it would probably be some kind of licensing thing. Kind of like DC, WBD, they recently did a licensing deal with Amazon Prime for animated content. Maybe something like that would be similar, but it would obviously be with, what we call now the Snyderverse. So I think it would just be so cool. And I wish something like that would happen. But I don't think it will, personally. I wouldn't get my hopes up for it. I don't think it would. I think Netflix would definitely be interested in it, because if they were before, I don't see why they wouldn't be now. Especially after the Snyder Cut actually did come out. And, if they were paying attention to it before, I'm sure they paid attention to how well it was received by fans and how much, people outside of the core fan base responded to it. I'm sure they would still be interested, and obviously working with Zach, they want to continue working with him. I don't think it would be, whether or not Netflix wants to do it. Obviously they wanted to before. It would definitely just be up to WBD/DC, and I don't think that they would do that. The biggest problem that has just stuck at Warner Brothers Discovery, apparently no matter who's in charge, is, ego and pride. And I just don't think that they would do that, because, like I said, they know the value that it holds. And even though they don't want to, for whatever reason, actually gain something from that value, I don't think that they want another platform, the biggest platform, to be the ones that have that value. You know what I mean? It's like they have this valuable thing that they just want to leave it and let it sit there and lock it up in a vault. They don't want to actually use it for anything. They just want to let it sit there, but they don't want anyone else to have it either. And I feel like that's probably what it would be. I don't think they would be willing to license the biggest, their biggest characters. Maybe, okay, the animated thing with Amazon Prime Video, that's a little different because it's animation. It's like, yes, people love animated movies, animated series, but the live action universe that Zack started for them and the Snyderverse has become such a huge thing now that I don't think that they would do that. I think it would just continue to show, if they did that and it was a huge hit, what it would be. It would be mind-blowing on Netflix. It would just continue to show how incompetent Warner Brothers is at making decisions and what they choose to make and what they choose to do with their DC universe. That's all it would do. And it would, oh my God, their rebooted DC universe would pale in comparison to anything Zack Snyder does with with DC. It already doesn't stand a chance against what Zack did. And I'm not saying that to be a hater. I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm not saying that Zack is the only person who knows how to do a DC movie. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that they're not going to top this. There's no way. They're just not. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that they're going to all make just 100% terrible movies. I'm sure they will produce movies that are, characters that people want to see, or maybe, characters that people have never seen live action before and are looking forward to watching live action. Cool. I'm sure there would be some cool things to see, some entertaining things. I don't doubt that. But we're not going to ever get anything like Zack Snyder's Justice League again, or Man of Steel. That's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just not. Like, no matter, they can make movies that are good and entertaining to watch. It's not going to be what Zack did. And I'm not saying that it needs to be. But I think they know that if another platform continued with Zack's universe, it would definitely overshadow whatever they are going to be, whatever their slate would be. And I think that's probably another reason that they wouldn't do it. All of this goes back to the previous leadership, of course, but the new leadership could have, at least done a proper exit for the current cast. I hope Netflix notices this. I think they will. Zack noticed. He noticed a Vero post. And so, he's paying attention to what his fans are talking about. Thank you guys for watching. Check out any videos or shorts you might have missed recently. I appreciate all the support on the channel. And thank you guys. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.